On a bright summer morning, July 29, 1981, the world held its breath as Lady Diana Spencer emerged from a glass coach at St. Paul's Cathedral. Over 750 million viewers tuned in across 6 continents, transfixed by a spectacle that blended ancient tradition with modern-day romance. In that moment, a shy 20-year-old kindergarten teacher stepped into history, becoming Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales. This was more than a wedding. It was a global fairy tale, a unifying event in an era hungry for hope and spectacle. From the lace-trimmed edges of Diana's gown to the jubilant cheers echoing through London streets, every detail would be etched into collective memory, forever, symbolizing the magic of that day. Born into an aristocratic family with deep ties to the British establishment, Diana Frances Spencer grew up on the family's estate in Norfolk, England. Known for her warmth, compassion, and shy demeanor, she pursued a career working with children and charity organizations. Meanwhile, Charles, Prince of Wales, had been under public scrutiny since birth, groomed for kingship from infancy. Their paths crossed in 1977 at a polo match hosted by Diana's sister, Sarah. Photographers caught Diana's luminous smile as Charles greeted her, a fleeting moment that would, 4 years later, lead to an announcement sending shockwaves through Buckingham Palace and beyond. On February 24, 1981, the palace confirmed the engagement. Diana, just 19, wore a blue polka dot dress as she stepped onto the palace forecourt, clutching an oversized bouquet and beaming with nervous excitement. The ring Charles presented, an oval 3-carat sapphire surrounded by 14 diamonds, would become one of the most famous jewels in the world. In the months leading up to the wedding, the tabloids chronicled every detail: Diana's fashion choices, her family's reactions, and Charles's careful composure. London buzzed with speculation. Would this be a modern love story or a dutiful royal alliance? No one could yet know. Weeks before the wedding, Westminster Abbey and Buckingham Palace transformed into scenes of regal grandeur. Master florists rehearsed with thousands of roses, lilies, and stephanotis blossoms. Royal chefs tested recipes for a 5-foot wedding cake, and heralds practiced fanfares echoing off palace walls. The guest list of 3,500 included heads of state, European monarchs, celebrities, and friends, each escorted by lords and ladies in full court dress. Security was tight, but excitement even tighter. Television crews from 70 countries vied for the best angle, while souvenir stalls sprang up on every corner, selling commemorative plates, mugs, and postcards. Perhaps the most closely guarded secret of the affair was Diana's wedding gown. Designers David and Elizabeth Emanuel worked in seclusion, creating a vision of ivory silk taffeta and antique lace. The dress featured a fitted bodice, puffed sleeves, and a skirt that cascaded into a 25-foot train, the longest in royal wedding history. 10,000 pearls, hand-stitched onto the fabric, caught the sunlight as Diana walked, giving her an ethereal glow. Her veil, woven from silk tulle and edged in lace, framed her gentle smile. In every stitch lay a symbol: innocence, purity, and a nod to the continuity of the monarchy. Outside the cathedral, 200,000 blooms created a living tapestry. White roses and lily of the valley, Diana's favorite, lined the aisles. Ivy and myrtle, traditional symbols of love and prosperity, intertwined in garlands draped over pews. The entrance was flanked by towering arrangements, each so heavy that palace staff needed cranes to position them. Inside, the scent of blossoms mingled with candle wax, creating an atmosphere both sacred and celebratory. Even the royal carriage, drawn by Windsor Greys, was adorned with sprays of white flowers, ensuring Diana's journey to the altar felt like a passage through a garden of dreams. At precisely 11 a.m., the procession began. Diana, escorted by her father, Earl Spencer, entered through the north door of St. Paul's. Her carriage, drawn by 4 white horses, soldiers in scarlet tunics and bearskin caps marched in step, while brass bands played Handel's water music. Crowds, some camping overnight, cheered as Diana waved, the sunlight glinting off her tiara, a Spencer family heirloom. Behind her, Prince Charles arrived on foot, nodding politely to dignitaries. As the carriage wound through the streets, the city's energy reached a crescendo, every cheer echoing Diana's transformation from commoner to princess. Inside the vast dome of St. Paul's, 3,500 guests sat beneath centuries-old arches. The Dean of St. Paul's officiated, and the Archbishop of Canterbury presided over the service. As Diana walked down the aisle, the hush was palpable. Her train billowed behind her, and her gaze flickered between her father and Charles, who stood at the altar in military uniform. Music swelled. "I Was Glad" by Perry, performed by a 200-voice choir, filled the space. When Diana reached Charles, she paused, drawing a deep breath before joining hands. The moment was intimate, despite the cathedral's enormity, and the millions watching worldwide. Diana's vows were traditional, yet she introduced a quiet revolution. When repeating Charles's names, she accidentally said, "Philip Charles, Arthur George," before correcting herself, a charming slip that humanized the fairy tale proceedings. More significant was her choice to drop the word "obey" from her vow, a break from centuries of royal precedent. Though subtle, this omission spoke volumes about her independent spirit. Charles, in turn, promised to love, comfort, honor, and keep her, his voice steady. As the couple exchanged rings, Diana's sapphire band gleamed. They sealed a union that would captivate and challenge the world. After the ceremony, the newlyweds embarked on a carriage procession to Buckingham Palace. Thousands lined the mall, cheering as the couple passed beneath fluttering Union Jacks. Upon arrival, Diana and Charles ascended the palace steps and emerged onto the famous balcony. In a moment that defied royal protocol, Charles leaned in and kissed Diana, a tender, spontaneous act that electrified the crowd. Cameras clicked wildly, capturing the image that would become synonymous with 1980s pop culture. The kiss lasted mere seconds, yet its impact endured, symbolizing both romance and the shifting nature of a monarchy adapting to modern expectations. Inside Buckingham Palace, a breakfast reception awaited. The 5-tier wedding cake, crafted by royal pastry chefs, stood 5 feet tall and weighed over 200 pounds. Each layer was iced with white marzipan and decorated with hand-piped royal crests and sugar flowers. Diana and Charles made the first cut, smiling broadly, their joy palpable. Later that evening, the Queen hosted a more intimate dinner, during which Diana changed into a flowing pink chiffon gown. Surrounded by close family and friends, she laughed, easily, briefly shedding the weight of royal expectations and savoring her new role. Beyond London, living rooms transformed into royal viewing galleries. In Tokyo, office workers gathered around television sets during lunch breaks. In Toronto, families held garden parties to watch the procession on big-screen projectors. South African radio stations broadcast live updates, and Australian newspapers ran extra editions. Fashion magazines printed dozens of pages on Diana's dress and accessories, while tabloids speculated on her every expression. For days, headlines proclaimed "Fairy Tale Bride" and "A New Princess for a New Era." The media frenzy would foreshadow both Diana's future triumphs as a global icon and the relentless scrutiny she would endure. In the weeks that followed, Diana's life shifted dramatically. Childhood friends marveled at photographs of her in tiaras and evening gowns. Her mother, Frances Shand Kidd, watched proudly, yet wistfully, as her daughter embraced royal duties. Diana's younger sisters, Lady Jane and Lady Sarah, shared private anecdotes of Diana's excitement and nerves in the days before the wedding. Even the staff at Kensington Palace noticed a change. Diana's kindness and empathy remained, but were now accompanied by a newfound confidence. In interviews, Diana reflected on her wedding day as a dream come true, unaware of the personal challenges ahead. Today, over 4 decades later, the royal wedding of 1981 remains a touchstone of cultural memory. It was the moment Diana became the people's princess, admired not just for her beauty, but for her authenticity and compassion. Her wedding dress is displayed in museums, and her balcony kiss replayed in documentaries. Beyond the spectacle, the day symbolized a monarchy in transition, honoring tradition while embracing change. Though Diana's marriage would face trials, her wedding day endures as a timeless moment of grace, love, and hope.